And yet, what they're now being fed is it's okay to eliminate the votes of 14.5 million Democrats who took their time in the cold of New Hampshire, the cold of Iowa. They did all those things. They put elbow grease in as well as going to the polls and say, those votes don't matter because we're replacing the person who got those votes. And the fact that they were able to replace and totally erase the record of Kamala Harris that rapidly, you have to believe this was the plan all along. And if you need proof that this was the plan all along, all you have to do is look and see that Robert Hur, who was a special counsel looking at the confidential documents case, said that Joe Biden was not capable of standing trial. This was released in September of 2023. He knew that when he was interviewing Biden. Everybody around him knew it. This wasn't news. We were called all sorts of names because we kept saying it was true. And they said, no, you're just conspiracy theorists. They basically kept people off the ballot. They didn't have a legitimate primary system. Then they did something unprecedented. They set up a debate before the conventions where they knew he'd fail. And he did. Joe Biden was given a chance to show he was okay. He showed he wasn't in various interviews. And they had a replacement plan. They dumped Kamala Harris in. And Trump's pollster warned that she's going to get a bump, and she may even look like she's taking the lead over Donald Trump initially, because she's going to get a honeymoon period. All those people who said, I can't vote for Biden, are now going to say, I might be able to vote for her. You get those 3 to 5 point swing that kind of shifts back and forth. And that's what's happened right now. The question is, are we going to allow her to remake herself? Are we going to allow them to get away with, and I say them because it's the media as a whole. It's the same media that in 2021 had in headlines, Harris appointed border czar, now deny that she was ever the border czar. She had a responsibility for the border 3 years later, because we cannot depend on the same electorate being enough, because they've got a plan to beat that electorate. They know pretty much how many votes Donald Trump's going to get right now. They know how many votes they need. What we need to do is to expand the playing field enough, both by voter turnout and by registering people, and the registration deadlines are approaching. We have to register people who are disaffected, who don't want this transformation to occur. We have to register them in record numbers, so when we cast ballots, they are shocked by the number of votes that come in for Donald Trump. It's way more than they planned. And it makes it much harder for them to steal it. We just have to make it harder for them to steal it. A lot of things have been done at the state level to try to stop that. Somebody's determined to steal an election and sees no consequences. And, oh, by the way, prosecutes the people who actually accuse them of cheating, as has happened. Why? Don't expect them not to make every effort to cheat. Our job is just to beat them, to beat them. And then after we beat them, those who cheated, make certain that they face a legal consequence for cheating that makes it so the next generation of Democrat activists play fair. Because the truth, folks, this is just God's honest truth. We win on the issues. We win on the issues. People don't agree with this gender affirming care garbage. It's been shoved down their throats. People don't agree with it. People know it's wrong. The state of California, when they have to pass a law that says you can't tell parents, that's what they did. Kamala's home state. They passed a law that says schools are prohibited from telling parents that their kids are being groomed to change sexes. Prohibited under law in California. The exact opposite of what anybody would think is rational. You say, oh, reasonable position. Well, at least tell the parents. Nope, they prohibit it. They fire the school teacher, the school nurse who says this is crazy. We're not going to do this. That person gets fired and can be thrown in jail. So, folks, this is for keepsies. This isn't just a battle over who's going to get the next station on the subway system. This is for your children's ability to exist in this world and for you to be able to be their parent or grandparent. There's no sidelines here.
Absolutely. I am just so glad that you are bringing that out, because one of the things that you had mentioned, and it's so true, is what are we going to do? Are we going to stand up, and are we going to allow this to continue? You were talking about getting out and getting people registered to vote, which is important. What I'm thinking too is that anybody should be using whatever their platform is or their social media presence to point out some of these policies that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are behind, or some of the record that they had. Now, we know that there's a lot of spin out there, but don't you think that would be a good strategy as well? And then
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.